Welcome to the Secret History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. This photo shows the interior of an old 20th century aircraft, revealing its internal transport system. It records the compartment used to carry equipment and materials on air missions. The record was made around the 1940s. The Thames River flood in London in 1928, one of the biggest natural disasters in the modern history of the city. The overflow of the waters reached entire neighborhoods, damaging bridges, streets, and homes. Cooking class at Bethesda Chevy Chase High School in 1935. The photograph shows a group of young female students focused on learning food preparation techniques in a school kitchen equipped with utensils from the time. Generals Dwight D. Eisenhower and George S. Patton during a visit to a newly liberated camp at the end of the Second World War. The record was made in 1945 when the Allied forces were assessing the conditions left by the conflict. The famous Monteleone chariot, one of the most notable discoveries of the ancient Etruscan civilization. Dated to approximately 530 before Christ, the vehicle was found in the region of Umbria in central Italy. It is made of bronze, ivory, and iron, with details that portray the hero Achilles in mythological scenes. Third-century Roman mosaic found in Tunisia, representing a scene known as damnatio ad bestias, a term used to designate public punishments in ancient Rome. Soldiers of the Union Army positioned in trenches shortly before the Second Battle of Fredericksburg, which took place in 1863. The record documents the moment of troop preparation during the American Civil War. A team of surgeons watching a coronary artery bypass operation in 1973. The procedure, considered a significant medical advance, aimed to restore blood flow to the heart. The construction of the Golden Gate Bridge, located in San Francisco, United States. It was recorded in 1935 when the main structures began to be assembled. The work involved thousands of specialized professionals. The Roman mosaic of Zliton, dated to the 2nd century after Christ, found in present-day Libya. The work covers an extensive decorative floor and presents scenes of public life and of spectacles held in arenas. The area known as the Ramp of Domitian, built in the 1st century after Christ in Rome. The structure served as a private passage that linked Emperor Domitian's imperial palace to the Roman Forum. A Dakota model airplane after a forced landing in the South Ruislip area in the United Kingdom. The incident happened during a civil flight operation, and surprisingly, all crew members and passengers survived. Image from behind the scenes of the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club band album photo session in 1967, showing an unused cutout of Adolf Hitler. The famous cover, created by Peter Blake and Jan Haworth, brought together dozens of historical and cultural figures, representing the diversity and irreverence of the 1960s. The interior of one of the first sound recording studios, dated to the beginning of the 20th century. The environment features large and rudimentary equipment used to record voice and instruments on cylinders or wax discs. stacks of bags containing gold and money stored in the Merker salt mine in Germany in 1945. The site was used to keep large amounts of valuables during the final stage of the Second World War. The famous Photo 51, recorded in 1952 by researcher Raymond Gosling under the guidance of Rosalind Franklin. The image, obtained by X-ray diffraction, was one of the first clear records of the helical structure of DNA. The metal structure of Liverpool Street Station in London, recorded in 1935. The image highlights the large iron beams that support the station's roof, a symbol of the modern engineering of the time. A sailor presenting a small kitten, the newest member of the ship in 1910. The image reflects the common custom among crews of adopting pets during long sea voyages. Scene recorded during the Mexican-American War in 1847, considered one of the first medical images on a battlefield. The record documents the early use of photography as a tool for historical and scientific recording. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, during the period in which he lived under medical care at the end of the 19th century. The record was made around 1899 in a quiet place intended for rest and monitoring. The image reveals a moment of introspection of one of the most influential figures in modern philosophy. A child riding a scooter made of wood, known as a crate scooter, on the streets of New York City in 1947. The toy was assembled in a simple way, using a box, wheels, and reused pieces of metal. A historical episode that took place during the period of the Second Sino-Japanese War in the city of Nanjing in the 1930s. The record serves as a historical document about the humanitarian and social consequences of armed conflicts. Residents of the village of Humby in East Lothian, Scotland, watching the wreckage of a Heinkel He-111 aircraft in 1939. The record was made in the first months of the Second World War, when aviation was beginning to play a central role in the conflicts. Operators prepare fake heads made of cloth, stuffing, and light frames to use as decoys against an enemy sniper positioned at a distance. The action takes place in Europe and involves small teams improvising mannequins that simulate human presence in order to identify observation points and protect passage routes. A group of people enjoying a winter day while helping to push a car stuck in the snow. The record, made around the 1940s, captures the spirit of cooperation and good humor typical of cold days. Polish athletes Adam Sanderski and Jan Falandis during their participation in the Moscow Olympic Games in 1980. The record captures a moment of focus and preparation before the wrestling competitions. Representing Poland, both stood out for their technique and discipline in one of the biggest sports events in the world. A group of children playing on a seesaw in a park at the beginning of the 20th century. Recorded around 1902, the image reveals a joyful moment of fellowship and outdoor fun. Detail of the Assyrian reliefs found in Lachish, dated to approximately 701 before Christ. The sculptures were created to record events and achievements of the ancient Assyrian Empire. The reliefs, originally carved in stone, reveal the artistic skill and the characteristic style of Mesopotamian art. W. Larkin during the cleaning of the dial of the famous clock known as Big Ben in London, England. Recorded at the beginning of the 20th century, the image shows the worker suspended by a rope while performing maintenance on the tower. The old ride known as the Mars Field roller coaster, located in St. Petersburg, Russia. Recorded in 1895, the image shows one of the first mechanical amusement structures in the city. The Antico Caffe Greco, the oldest cafe in Rome, recorded in 1948. Founded in 1760, the place became a meeting point for artists, writers, and intellectuals from different parts of the world. Workers removing streetcar tracks on the streets of Seattle in 1943. The change marked the end of an era in which electric rail transport was the main means of urban transportation. Shows a Beetle automobile parked between damaged buildings in Berlin, Germany, in 1945. The record was made right after the end of the Second World War, revealing a contrast between destruction and reconstruction. David Bowie at 14 years of age in 1961, long before becoming one of the greatest stars in world music. The record captures his youth in London, a period in which he was already showing interest in art, fashion, and creative expression. Important archaeological discovery made in Jerusalem, dated to the 1st century after Christ. The find belongs to an individual identified as Yehohanan and represents one of the rare physical pieces of evidence of ancient Roman methods of punishment. Jim Jarvis, a young boy portrayed on the streets of London during the 19th century. The image represents the daily life of children who lived in urban areas during a period of rapid social changes. Jim Jarvis became known for inspiring aid actions and projects aimed at child well-being. A rock formation located in Mammoth Cave in the state of Kentucky, United States. Known for its huge underground galleries, the cave is considered the largest cave system in the world. Circus performer beside a man during a social event in the early 1930s. The record was made in a public setting and reflects the contrast between popular entertainment and the business environment of the time. A traditional Irish jaunting car, recorded in Belfast during the 1860s. The vehicle, pulled by a horse, was widely used for transporting passengers and small loads. The Records Room of Scotland Yard in London, recorded in the 1900s, before the arrival of computers. The environment is filled with tall shelves and organized drawers where thousands of documents and criminal files were stored. The Stora Hammars Eye Stone, dated to the 7th century, located on the island of Gotland in Sweden. The monument is part of a set of carved stones that represent scenes from mythology and from ancient Scandinavian life. Its carvings reveal religious, warrior, and ceremonial aspects of the Nordic people. Children jumping rope with the help of an American soldier, England, 1944. The photograph portrays a light moment amid the tension of the Second World War, when soldiers from the United States found ways to interact with local communities during their stay in Europe. Men in Mongolia in 1956 demonstrating strength and technique during a traditional physical exercise. It portrays a moment of fellowship and outdoor sports practice in a simple and authentic environment. Physical activities were part of the cultural routine and local training of the time. the main yard of the former Bilibid prison, located in Manila, capital of the Philippines. The record dates from the beginning of the 20th century and reveals part of the routine and the structure of the place. The prison was built during the colonial period and was used to house people under government custody. Shows the costume test of the winged monkeys used in the film The Wizard of Oz, released in 1939. It was made at the Hollywood studios during the preparation phase of the filming. The moment records the artists and technicians evaluating the movement and the look of the costumes. Shows a 7th century before Christ Assyrian relief found in the ancient city of Nineveh in present-day Iraq. The work portrays scenes from the Battle of Til-Tuba, an important conflict between the empires of Assyria and Elam. Legendary baseball player Babe Ruth at 7 years of age in 1902. He appears on the right side of the image, still in his childhood in the city of Baltimore, United States. The record was made long before his fame as one of the greatest stars in American sports. A Roman armor of the Larica segmentata type, found near the Teutoburg forest in Germany. Dated to the beginning of the 1st century after Christ, it is considered one of the best preserved pieces of this style of military protection. The last veterans of the American War of Independence, portrayed around 1864. All the men present were more than 100 years old at the time of the record. The image was made to preserve the living memory of a generation that took part in the formation of the United States. A circus performer demonstrating his strength by lifting a horse during a performance in 1903. The record reflects the public's fascination at the time with feats of endurance and physical skill. These performers were central figures in traveling shows that went through cities and villages. Klamath chief standing on a hill overlooking Crater Lake in the state of Oregon, recorded in 1923. He appears wearing traditional ceremonial clothing with adornments that represent his position of spiritual and cultural leadership. The scene shows a man getting a tattoo in 1942, a period when this practice was still seen as something not very common and often associated with sailors, dock workers, and adventurers. The premiere of the Beatles film, A Hard Day's Night at the London Pavilion in 1964, marked one of the most iconic moments of British pop culture. The crowd gathered in Leicester Square, London to see John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr arriving at the event. Welcomed by screams and camera flashes from fans that turned the place into a real spectacle. A mother repairs the family car in the 1940s. The photograph portrays a woman committed to doing mechanical repairs on the automobile, something not very common for the period, when most activities related to vehicle maintenance were seen as an exclusively male task. The finalists of the Miss Correct Posture contest pose with their X-rays in 1956. The image records a curious event that took place in the United States during the 1950s, when body posture was considered a symbol of health, elegance, and discipline. Polaroid's chief chemist, Howard G. Rogers, poses alongside other colleagues among 5,000 bottles of chemical compounds used in developing the company's color film process in 1963. A 300-year-old tree cut in 1891 with historical events marked in its growth rings. The photograph shows the monumental trunk of a 1,000-year-old tree, possibly a sequoia or giant pine, displaying on its surface rings that record the passage of time like a true natural archive. British writer and surfer Agatha Christie, known worldwide for her mystery works, appears in 1922 practicing one of her favorite pastimes during a trip with her husband, archaeologist Archibald Christie. Oker, a shaman from Mongolia, recorded in 1909. He appears with his traditional clothing and instruments used in spiritual ceremonies. The image reveals important aspects of Mongolian culture, marked by beliefs connected to nature and to ancestral wisdom. Jockey Herbert Jones, riding the horse Anmer during the famous Epsom Derby race in England in 1913. The record captures the moment when the event was interrupted by a protester who entered the track. President James A. Garfield of the United States portrayed in 1881 the year in which he was shot and received intensive medical care. The episode became one of the most studied in the history of 19th century medicine. Experiment known as Universe 25, conducted by researcher John B. Calhoun in the mid-1950s. The study was carried out with a colony of mice in a controlled environment created to observe the effects of overpopulation. Official document of the ship USS Adams, dated 1847. Recording a disciplinary procedure carried out on board. The report details compliance with naval rules of the time, when physical punishments were still allowed within legal limits. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, please use the Super Thanks tool below. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you amazing historical content. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.